everybody, this is Goddess Nerds, and today is the second episode of our mini-series on being a young artist. So, my voice might be a bit weird in this episode because I'm a little bit sick, but we'll see how it goes. So, just before we start, I'm just going to talk about the piece for a bit. It's kind of based off one of my intern pieces. It's a bit off camera here, and it's just a pencil sketch. I haven't done pencil drawing in a while. I've been focusing on mainly ink. So it was interesting to go back. I feel like I've lost some of the skill which I spent a long time gaining, but hopefully if I keep working on it, I'll be able to get back to the same level I was at. I think my favourite part of this piece is later on, like close to the very end. I did some watercolour work, and I also did some little gouache creatures on top of it, and I think it made it look really cute. Because I've been experimenting a lot with gouache lately. The other thing I want to talk about is, you might have already seen with the introduction, is some of the developments on the channel. So I've now got a fancy introduction and an end card, and also a channel trailer. And I feel like it'll make it kind of more professional, I guess, and also help with getting more views, I guess. And you might have noticed the thumbnail's a little bit more professional as well. Okay, so right on to the topic, which is going to be kind of like the negatives, or I guess more the differences of being a young artist in comparison to being an artist as an adult. And I'm just going to clarify that they're not quote-unquote pet peeves. I really hate it when artists do stuff about pet peeves. I mean sometimes it's legitimate, like when people ask you for free art, especially if they're complete strangers, that's not even a pet peeve, that's just downright rude. But a lot of artists, I feel like they're kind of just whinging about stuff when they make videos about pet peeves. But anyway, so one difference is that people expect young artists to kind of draw really kiddie stuff, so like, you know, teddy bears and flowers, and like this I found more of a problem when I was in my first art class, which you'll know all about if you watch the first video. Because all of the images which we were basically copying were of like really kiddie subjects. And also when I entered competitions, like often the ones which would win weren't necessarily they weren't generally the most deep, or the most technically good either. Like it would be the one which had a lot of colours and was about something, you know, that's kind of fluffy and heavy, because that's what people expect young artists to draw, I guess. But for me, I only started steampunk recently, but I did kind of more darker themes, I guess. So that meant that often it wasn't really what people expected, I guess, which isn't so much a bad thing. It just meant it was kind of harder for me to do well in competitions. There was also the thing where kind of later, I guess, is often people don't really take you seriously. So, I mean, they might, like, if you show them your art, right, they'll be like, oh wow, it's really nice that you have a hobby, but, like, for me, right, it wasn't, like, by the time I was in high school, I'd say, it wasn't a hobby anymore. It was basically something which I was really passionate about and something which I was trying to turn into a career. And then if I did tell people that it was going to be a career, then it would always be like, yeah, well, you don't have to think too much about your career yet. And it's kind of like, just like subtly kind of like, well, I don't know, I'm sure they didn't mean anything by it, but like, it's like, yeah. And I mean, and then all of a sudden now, people, like most of my friends and their parents are trying to get them to think about the subjects for the HSC, and that's basically the beginning of your adult life, I'd say. So it's like you go from one year being too young to have to think about your future, and then to the next year, like you have to think about it. So it's kind of a bit ironic, I guess, in that way. And even like my art teachers sometimes, I found that when I told them that I wanted to do art as a career, they said just to continue studying and think about that later. And I mean, not to diss my art teachers, like I had great art teachers, definitely, and they're very supportive. But and then like, oh, funny story, one time there was this lady on the train, and she came up to me and said, "Oh, I see you during your studying every morning on the train. You must be such a diligent student." And I kind of said, "Oh, actually, I'm just drawing because like I really like drawing and I want to do it for a career." She's like, "Oh, I see. Just a hobby, is it?" And that's basically it's a really good example of what I was saying before. I mean, like, people think it's more respectable to be doing something which earns more money, I guess. Well, but it doesn't necessarily as well, and like, I'd rather be doing art, so. Although I don't think that really ever changes, to be honest, from what I've heard from other artists. So maybe that's not really the most relevant point to be putting in this video. One of the other ones, which it's not necessarily a negative, is you kind of depend on like your parents and your teachers a bit. I mean, your parents obviously because of lack of funding, and just because, like, I mean, if you want to go to classes and stuff like that, it's kind of this, like, it also ties into lack of funding, because you sort of need funding if you want to begin a business. Like, I tried to start a t-shirt business a while ago, but it didn't really work because I didn't have the funding to invest in it. And my parents sent me to art classes for a while, which was pretty cool, but I wouldn't have been able to do that without their funding. And if your parents don't support you, then it's a whole lot more difficult, because, like, I mean, even if they don't support it but they're like okay with you doing it, like, just in your spare time, it's kind of like morally degrading, I guess. And then you get the even worse ones where it's like you get an even worse situation where your parents just aren't okay with you drawing at all. I mean, I've got a couple of friends who have that sort of situation, and that's just really bad, because it really means that, like, you're really limited in what you can do, I guess. And then the other people you kind of depend on are your teachers. So it's like, I mean, at this stage, it's like I'm still learning, and my teachers are like, I mean, like, I don't know what I'd do without them, because, like, I can't learn all of this completely on my own, because, like, there are completely new perspectives and mediums which I've never tried before, and that's what I learned from my teachers. So I'm really lucky to have both really supportive parents and really great teachers, so that's great. The other thing that's kind of good about having, like, support, well, it depends. If you actually have support, then it means that because I'm still young, you don't have to, like, have a full-on job yet, because you don't have to, like, support yourself yet, which means that, I mean, it's a good environment to learn in, because there's, like, not the stress of I have to pay my bills this year. So that's good, and it also means that, tying into having good teachers, if you do art at school, they have, like, resources for you to use, and you don't have to pay for it, so that's really great. Alright, so I've kind of come to the end of my notes, which I've written down here, but obviously we're only like halfway through the video, so there's that. I'm just going to try and think of some other things which I can say about being a young artist. I feel like everybody's more impressed with your art if they figure out that you're young. I mean, sometimes it's generally not what I want the first, like, I generally want people to appreciate my art first. It's just like, and I only really mention my age on like my social media, because I want to be able to connect more with my following, and also because, like, it just, I mean, it's kind of better for branding as well. But honestly, actually, I might take back that point I said about it being better for branding, because I feel like that also ties into people not taking you seriously, because even if people like your art, like, I feel like if I was say I was someone looking for an artist to employ, I feel like if I saw someone with good art and then found out that they were really young, I might not trust them to do that well, so maybe I should look into changing that a bit. And this makes me pretty happy, because I've actually been finding lately that some people, like, will come up to me and say, hey, do you want to be part of this thing? I actually had someone come up to me recently from this science fiction blog called Quantum Muse, and ask if I wanted to be featured next year, which was really cool. And then they find out that I'm a young artist afterwards, and it's kind of really validating because it's like they liked my art either way. And this magazine which I'm going to be featured in, I'm actually the first young artist who they featured, so that's good. I mean, like, yeah, that's just really cool. Like, I'm really happy about that. So I mean, I haven't exactly figured out how how people seeing your age changes their perceptions of it. I mean, obviously there's the expectations of what a young artist should kind of draw to a certain style, but I think there are other kind of expectations that also come with being a young artist. For example, like maybe employers might think you're kind of more immature as well. Like I sent a request to like this t-shirt company once with a few of my designs and said, hey, can I print with your company? And they said they really liked my art, but it needed to be vectorized and then saved as a PNG, which didn't really make much sense because PNGs are a raster format. But I vectorized it anyway. And then they just stopped talking to me, so because I had to ask a few questions because I've never actually vectorized anything before. So maybe that was it, but I guess maybe there's a pre-assumption that you're going to be kind of immature. And I guess that makes sense, but I like to think of myself as reasonably mature for my age. I think my friends would say differently, but, well, that's what you get, I guess. But honestly, I mean, I thought people would be more impressed with my stuff if, like, I mentioned my age, but I've come to find that it's just like, I mean, a picture is a picture. It means a lot. Like, I mean, it's the artwork that matters, not really, and kind of where it comes from my perspective, but the fact that I'm 14, it's not like anything to do with my artwork, really. So, I mean, I guess just the meaning to take from that, I don't know if that made any sense whatsoever, but, I mean, whether you're a young artist or not, you can still create good art, and you still have really high chances. Well, I wouldn't say really high. I mean, if you put your mind to it, you still have like high chances of being able to do art professionally if you want to. And this is about where we're getting to my end card. Yeah, so I've got an end card, and I think it looks really cool. So the squid on the left was animated by one of my friends at Generic Animations, so go check out her channel. And I managed to animate scrolling text in Adobe Flash. Okay, see you in the next episode.